Welcome back to Bet On It. Let's head over to the Sunday action. We're going to break down a couple of these games. We have Minnesota at New Orleans. Lots 7.5s across the board here in Vegas. Total 49.5 pretty much. VR, this is an interesting one here because I thought immediately when I saw it open 7 that it was going to be immediately 9. Why? Because the books want to protect themselves from teasers.
And the Saints sharp money's going to keep coming in, and then the public money's going to come in, and they got to go to 9.5 or 10, right?
But they didn't. It went to 8, and now it's back down to 7.5. Do you want to tell the people why?
Because at 8, wise guys got involved on the Minnesota Vikings. We bet Minnesota +8.
Time out real quick. So we're sitting in the green room, and I go, I kind of like Minnesota. He goes, if you like Minnesota, you better bet it right now. And I go, what? And he goes, we're betting it right now. I'm like, like frantically trying to get in my
like,
+8.
I got an 8.
Because I liked it as well, but I was just like, let's just hang tight. Let's just hang tight because I did think it was going to get to 9. But if you guys wonder why all the 8s are gone, it's because our man over here.
They are gone. And the truth is, I would be betting Minnesota even if I didn't have that future. I would. I think there's just a lot of value getting over a touchdown. I know how dominant the Saints are, but these are the playoffs. You know, you don't get style points. You're looking to win and move on. I mean, the goal isn't to cover the spread. Again, we're in that round where you got to pick the winner. I think Minnesota has a chance of spoiling the Saints' season, man.
Really?
All the talk is, here's the reason. All the talk is the Saints, the last 2 years, they got screwed. There's the miracle in Minnesota 2 years ago. Then last year,
that's what everything I keep hearing is revenge.
Revenge.
Kirk Cousins
over. That's where you got to be cautious when you keep hearing that.
Okay.
It's like we've already dismissed the Minnesota side as even having a chance. This team, if you look at the point differential between them and New Orleans, you would think New Orleans had their best season. They crushed everyone. It's only about 6 or 7 points
on
difference.
paper, they're literally I literally have it in my notes. They're surprisingly comparable.
Exactly,
on
very
paper.
very close to analytics. That's where people make the mistake of thinking that the Saints are just that much better. And again, I really have a lot invested in the Saints to do well in these playoffs and win the Super Bowl. I want to see that more than anybody. But I'd be lying to you if I thought they were a good bet this week. Again, this is a team that scored 30-plus points 4 straight weeks. Everything's looking good. You covered 3 straight games. Here comes Minnesota. You got all this revenge. Be careful, man.
Marco, the biggest wild card in this game is going to be Dalvin Cook.
He is. Having the week off last week, they sat a lot of players. That's going to help him. You know, his injury is a shoulder injury, and it's more like I think he could have went if they needed him to go, but they had nothing to play for. Why risk him?
They needed him against the Packers.
They needed him against the Packers, and again, it was just a bad. I just disagree. They laid an egg on that Monday night game.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, and I realize you got players that you don't want to get hurt. Last week, you set them and everything, but now you're going into the playoffs off of that just disappointing Monday night game. I would have wanted to get that bad taste out of my mouth. Play some football. They're not light switches. Turn them on and off. That's my only concern with the Vikings. And I know you love Coach Zimmer. Who doesn't love him? He's been a point spread machine.
But so have the Saints this year. They've made their backers money all season long.
We still got that elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is Kirk Cousins until he wins a big game. He laid a colossal egg on Monday night. He was all the things that everybody said, and I love Twitter when everybody, the obvious, it's there.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Hindsight's 20/20. Where are you chirping before the game? Yeah, he was 0-8 before the game. He's 0-9 after the game. Yeah. How could you even consider Minnesota? Well, because I was playing against Green Bay as much as I was playing Minnesota.
Absolutely.
But this is a spot where now I look at them. I'm concerned about them going in here. I think I agree with you. I think this line is too high. New Orleans looks better than they are because for whatever reason, Sean Payton just kept his foot on the gas all year.
And that's where you got to be cautious. Real quickly, the thing with New Orleans also, man, that you got to be cautious is with both these teams is they're dome teams. And as far as looking at futures, they do not do well in the playoffs. I mean, looking over the last 30-plus games, you got to go back. This goes back to like 2010 of dome teams in the playoffs. We have over 30-plus games. Less than 25% of the time do dome teams playing outdoors actually win in the playoffs. But it's a tough thing for them to do.
It is, but the one thing with both of these teams being dome teams is an advantage for Minnesota because it's not as big of an advantage for the Saints. They're used to playing in a dome in the loud noises.
That's true. Okay, let's go to the Sunday afternoon game. Seattle at Philadelphia. Philadelphia opened a 1-point favorite. Now a 1.5-point underdog. There's some twos at a couple spots. I'm going to save my opinion because this is going to be my best bet for the show. So, Mark, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah. Is there an uglier looking team in the playoffs than the Philadelphia Eagles? Nobody wants them. Last week, we talked about it in the green room. The Giants were a popular play. We liked the Giants. Everybody in the Super Contest had the Giants. Everybody in Sarka Millions had the Giants.
That's why I left it alone, man.
Yeah,
I was ready to fire.
I said, come Sunday, I got cold feet on that when everybody's riding that, popular.
Well, I was locked and loaded early on.
Yeah.
So.
Once you're in, you're in.
But, you look at Seattle, they played a great game last week against San Francisco. They came within 2 inches of hosting a game. Nobody likes coming up 2 inches short. It's just, it's not a good thing. And it's, how do they bounce back? Now they got to go on the road. I don't want to make jokes about it, but they were that close to having a first round bye. And now you're on the road. You played Sunday night, and now you got to travel cross country. You already beat this team earlier in the season, and Philadelphia was banged up then. Now Philly's the healthier of the two teams. I like the revenge angle here. I know it's an overused word, but you're playing same season revenge in the playoffs here now. I like Philly.
All right, VR.
I'll make it even simpler for you. The wrong team's favored. I mean, there's no way Philadelphia should be a dog at home to the Seattle Seahawks. There's nothing power rating wise that reflects that. There's just no way. Seattle is now a 2.5 point favorite. What does that mean? If they were playing in Seattle, they'd be close to double digits against Philadelphia? That makes absolutely zero sense. And that's just the market.
Well, we saw this
making
exact
them
same
the
thing
favorite.
happen when they played during the regular season. Philadelphia opened as the favorite. The line got pushed
Bet
the other
up,
way.
exactly.
And Seattle ended up winning
Getting
that
it
game.
done,
They needed
getting it
5
done,
turnovers
17-9.
to win that game 17-9.
Exactly. I like Philadelphia in this spot. Again, I think you're getting a ton of line value, and I love the situation that you touched on. To me, it's just a perfect mix. I like Philadelphia.
Well, that basically gives away my best bet, so nobody has to watch anymore. But in all seriousness, we all know I love the ugly dogs. But
All right.
home underdogs just in the playoffs last however many years, I got to find that out, 16, 7, and 1 home underdogs against the spread.
You're not a home underdog in the playoffs. You're a playoff team. You're not.
It just
supposed
doesn't
to be
happen very often.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's happening, we
I
have
think
some edge.
disrespect.
We'll get with Mr. Ralph Michaels right now and hear what he has to say. That was great stuff from both these guys. So let's see what Ralph has to say for some TNA. Time to bring in our resident stat man, Mr. Ralph Michaels, looking extra dapper today. Did you get dressed up just for me?
Well, I never leave the house. So last week it's 40 and it's like snowing and I come with a shirt, and today it's warm as crap and I have a sweater on. So I guess I just don't know.
PJ Fleck would be very proud.
Yeah,
I think it's great. Okay, wild card weekend. Last week was tough with week 17. Wild card weekend, I feel like I have it all figured out, which is probably not a good thing. Tell me what you've got.
At least you're not handicapping motivation. And, I do want you guys to check out, go to WagerTalk.com, go to my homepage. I did a stat compare sheet with all the records, all the stats, and all the rankings are only versus teams that were 500 or better when you faced them. Like Buffalo only faced 6, Houston faced 9. An interesting thing I found, when the Tennessee Titans are playing a team 500 or better, they only score 8.6 points per game in the first half, 18.8 points per game in the second half. So it breaks down quarter by quarter scoring, just something to check out. But let's get to the TNA information. 2 teams, same record.
Okay.
The away dog, only 4-12 straight up, but 11-4 against the spread, and that would be Buffalo-Houston, where the same team, the same record the away dog has won. Teams that have had a positive turnover margin in back-to-back games, and they're a non-division team. So you haven't played this foe. You are plus turnovers each of your last 2 games, like Philadelphia. Those teams since 2006 have gone 30-10, 75% against the spread, 40-game margin. Why? You're playing consistent. You're not turning the ball over. You're not making mistakes. Your defense is getting turnovers. Only one team applies, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Just a note, the Seattle Seahawks are the first team since 2001. The NFL playoff database only goes back to 2001, where I have access to. They're the first team to ever lose back-to-back games and then be an away favorite.
Yeah, I saw that this morning on Twitter.
They're only the third team since 2001 to lose their last game and be an away favorite.
So what does that mean?
Well, it just means it doesn't happen. It shows you how little Philadelphia is respected. For the team to lose that game and come in. So you have a disrespected home dog in Philadelphia that's won 4 in a row. You know, one thing I want to point out is a lot of things I read. Wild card road teams have gone 7-0-1 the last 2 years. But I also want to point out that the home team's 15-14-3. So I think that's more a 2-year anomaly. I don't want people to fall into that trap thinking that's what happens. Question for you. We always say it's sometimes hard to beat a team twice depending on sports.
Right.
So now we're talking playoffs. You're a non-division team, so you only play this team once every 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And you lost in the regular season.
So the Eagles to the Seahawks.
And good or bad?
It's good.
It is good. 58, 38, and 5, 59.1%, all the way back to 2001. So in the history of the database,
that's great.
If you lose to that team the first time, you have covered 59.1% of the time. And one weird one, Kelly, real quick. Teams off a big win, 10-point win is a favorite. They have a positive turnover margin on the season, and they score offensively 40% of their drives.
Okay.
A lot to look up. But in the last 8 years, there's been 16 teams. It's gone 16-0 to the over. That's New Orleans and Minnesota.
Oh,
New Orleans is
no.
a team off a big win. I like the under too. But
Okay.
I'm just saying, I just have to share the info because it's
But
there.
yeah, that makes me a little apprehensive about that over or about that under. Okay, well, always great stuff from Ralph. It's now time for us to take a quick break, but when we return, it's time for our NFL teasers, and that's right, our best bets of the week.